Okay, I have a great show today. I'm privileged to have Representative Tim Burchett with me from Tennessee to go over some very big topics. Sir, thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's an honor.
So we have limited time. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. Today, I want to cover how the United States might have been infiltrated by UFOs and UAPs in the past, possibly in the present, but how we are definitely being infiltrated on our southern border. I know you can't cover everything that you've seen or read because of classification, but you said in a recent interview that you believe the United States government is hiding classified documents regarding UFO or UAP crafts, possibly bodies or even military equipment. Why do you say this? And also, from your standpoint, does it seem like the Pentagon has more power over this topic than even members of Congress?
And the Pentagon has way too much power. They've not passed an audit in the history of audits, and we reward them with billions more dollars every year. And this past year, they admitted that they don't know where over half their assets are. I mean, they're sitting on what, $1 trillion in assets over there or more. To me, that's just unbelievable. That should be the news story of the year right there. But everybody's getting fat off of it, both parties. I mean, they talk about Pelosi making 76 or 86% return on her investment. There's people on both sides of the aisle doing that. I mean, all you have to do is look at when we decided to send our missile defense system to Ukraine, and then of course we had to replenish ours, which we should have. And so, but people in both parties own stock in those companies, and they got fat off of it. And it's a disgrace, really, but nobody cares. So we'll propose another bill this year, probably, that you can't own individual stocks and things like that. It'll go nowhere because we don't have any guts, and we're going to sell our country out, basically. Both parties will. But back to the and why is this UFO thing? Why am I interested in it? Well, I've stated many times, I'm not worried about the little green men or the flying saucers. What I am worried about is a Department of Defense that hides this information. Since 1947, they've told us these things don't exist. And then, but we've come to find out they're spending tens of millions of dollars to research them. Different departments, NASA, Department of Defense, probably FBI, now CIA, we think is involved in some sort of retrieval program that's been leaked out. And it's just continuous, and I'm out here fighting for it, the information, and I'm getting slaughtered over it. They're using their power and influence to actually run somebody against me in my own primary, and they're going to pump millions of dollars into this thing because as I was told by a former member of the Trump administration, that I had kicked the hornet's nest on this deal.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's just disclosure. It's all it is, brother. I'm sick of it. I want to know where this money's going. I want to know what they found out. And I do not trust a government that does not trust its people. And right now, this government is running, through the FISA courts, being able to investigate or spy on Americans, using the back door of going after a foreigner who's associated with an American citizen, so they in fact can spy on the American citizen. They've done that thousands of times. It's documented. The FBI has admitted to it. And so, we've got a real problem in this country. It's a uniparty is what it is. It's both. They don't see the color of skin, black or white. All they see is green. And it's not little green men they see green dollar bills. And so, I just call it like it is, and that's what it is.
Yeah. You had mentioned on the Chris Cuomo show that there are defense contractors that have higher security clearance and decide who gets to see classified documents or not. More of those than members of Congress. Why does the Defense Department or these contractors have more authority than Congress?
Because members of Congress are getting rich. They're getting rich off this stuff, the investments and the intelligence. Imagine this. Imagine, because it's documented. You've seen the Tic Tac videos, like the candy. My daughter said, "Dad, it's TikTok." She called me Boomer. She said, "Boomer, it's TikTok." I said, "No, baby, it's Tic Tac, like the candy." So the Tic Tac video of it's called. You can Google it. It's Navy pilots chasing a craft, and they're describing it as it's just unbelievable, the technology. But imagine technology that can fly a craft like that with no heat signature, with no apparent anything that within the realm of our possibility. Imagine what that would do to this country, this world, if we were not fighting in these endless wars over in the Middle East, that we could heat poor people's homes in the winter and cool them in the summer. Pentagon would go out of business, and those war pimps over there would have to find another job. And that's exactly what they need to do. We need to quit with these endless wars. All that does is get our young people killed and get these fat cats fatter. And that's why they're after me. They don't like me calling them out for what they're doing. And like I said, it's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about disclosure. Since 1947, they said they don't exist, but dadgummit, they're spending millions of dollars to find out. I mean, even NASA now in their stuff, it talks about a robust research. What does robust mean? It means more in yours than my tax dollars. And why are 4 different agencies studying the same dadgum thing? Well, it's because they're studying them in somebody's district, and they want the money for their district. And there again, money, power, influence, corruption. It all runs together.
Wow. I like your term, the war pimps over at the Pentagon.
And they're not, and I'm not talking about all of them are bad people. There's some great generals over there, but they're, why are we in Ukraine spending 114 billion unchecked dollars, and we can't even spend $1 billion on our own border? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, not even 1% of what we've given Zelensky. Now, I don't know how much interaction you had with whistleblower David Grusch, but he was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast where he carefully shared what he was told he had permission to share about the non-human crafts. We now know, or we've now been told through the media, that the CIA has this recovery program. They've recovered at least 9 crafts that we know of. Do you believe him to be a credible whistleblower?
I know David. He's a friend of mine. And yeah, I have no reason to think he's lying. They did exactly what I thought they would do. They tried to destroy him immediately afterwards through leaking something to and I don't blame the media. Some young guy gets a tip, and, he gets some national publicity. But going after somebody that has PTSD, it's a combat veteran, to me, it just shows the despicable nature of these people and why we need to rein them in. I had an amendment. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit, but I had an amendment on one of the transportation bills, reauthorization, and FAA, excuse me, Federal Aviation Administration. And it just said that if you saw UAP or an anomaly or something that was that you couldn't describe, and in that report that you make to the FAA, you would have to make that report available to Congress. They wouldn't even hear the amendment. The whip came to me on the House floor and said, "Tim, the intelligence community killed that amendment." I said, "You mean the intelligence committee?" He said, "No, the community. They didn't like it." Now, what the hell does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. A bunch of unelected bureaucrats decided that what you and I can see and not see. And to me, that's a big problem. That's too much power in the hands of unelected people. And this little shadow uniparty thing we've got going on needs to stop in Washington.
Wow. Thank you for that. Let me switch gears with you, since we're limited time here. We just saw over the weekend that President Biden and the White House said that they are open to capping immigration at 1 million people per calendar year if they can get $60 billion of US taxpayer money to send over to Zelensky in Ukraine. Is that cap going to be a real thing, or is this just dangling a carrot in order to get the money for Zelensky?
I describe that as you dictating the number of loops on your noose. You know, that's ridiculous to think that they're going to cap it at a million illegals or whatever. If it's 10, it's too many. But we've got 100,000 children that are unaccounted for in this country that have come over our border. 100,000 in the last 3 years, brother. In the last 3 years, this administration has stonewalled. If anything, the American public ought to be just outraged that any of this goes on. That this illegal immigration. We spend 114 billion in Ukraine, and yet we can't. They wouldn't give Trump 4 billion to put a wall up because they said we couldn't afford it. Yet we've given $114 billion to the most corrupt nation in the world, allegedly, or in Europe anyway. And Europe is not funding this war as they should. America is, as usual, is taking the brunt of it. And frankly, Russia's GDP is somewhere between Canada's and France right now. They're not, making historical references to him and the Nazis. To me is ridiculous. You need to go back and read history a little bit. But
yeah,
anyway,
when you say 100,000 unaccounted for children, do you mean that they haven't been placed in homes, or that they don't know where they are?
They don't know where they are. 100,000. So, and then we figure 8 million that we know of have come over the border since this administration started. 8 million. That's the size of Tennessee, brother.
Wow.
And that isn't a system. Now, granted, a lot of those folks are going to come over here and work hard and do their thing. But I was mayor of Knox County. We had one school over here, I think less than 300 kids. It had over 20 languages spoken there. So just imagine the cost that is. And just imagine the American kids that are in those classes that will not get an education because they're having deferred revenue. And I'm not knocking the families of the kids. If I was down there, hook or crook, I'd do everything I could get up here. But the reality is that we're selling Americans out. Up in New York, they're kicking veterans out of homeless shelters so they can put illegals in. And, you even have Democrat governor and Democrat mayor in New York pleading with the president to stop this thing. Stop it. We're all border states now. Yeah. A good friend of mine, a family of friends of mine, their son was killed in an automobile accident by an illegal. I mean, you just hear it every day. And then, of course, the terrorist watch list. And the liberals say, oh, but we caught all these people on the terrorist watch list. Well, it's the ones we didn't catch that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And terrorists don't necessarily tell you who they are when they're coming through.
Yeah, they don't have an identification card. And if they did, they certainly wouldn't use it to illegally vote in our elections.
No, and that's another thing. That's ultimately what they're after. It's to stay in power regardless of what it does to our great country.
Oh, that is just such a shame. Well, I appreciate all the hard work that you're putting in on Capitol Hill on behalf of the American people. I know we're limited on time. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope to have you on the show again, and hope you have great holidays and a great rest of your day.
Brother, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. And just keep putting the truth out there. All right. That's all I ask. And I'm on these national media shows. Sometimes I talk to them afterwards, and they're catching a lot of hell because they're putting the truth out there. But the American public sees it, and the vast majority of the people, if we could just get them energized and get past 20% of the voting population going to the polls, we could turn this country around. So thank you, brother.
I agree. Thank you very much.
See you, man. Have a great day.